Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. I'm Richard. This is Lap the World, and if you've ever struggled with the reliability of an adjustable fuel pressure regulator, you're going to want to stick around. I may have an answer for you. So this is the AEM adjustable fuel pressure regulator that until recently we were running on our 1992 NSX to help account for a little bit of added displacement that we gained recently in the course of other shenanigans. To summarize that incredibly briefly for those who haven't been following, our current build on this car uses a C32B, so an NSX 3.2 liter bottom end with 3 liter heads and other dressing. And to account for that added displacement, we needed to bump the fuel pressure up to keep from having to either change other major components of the fueling system and or running a standalone ECU, which was something we wanted to avoid. But that's the very, very short story. And then more recently, in a series of videos that I won't rehash here, we began experiencing what ended up being a series of failures with the adjustable fuel pressure regulator. It first wasn't delivering enough pressure, then it was stuck wide open, delivering too much pressure, then and that's kind of where we ended up last time. We rebuilt it, and everything seemed well, as we documented in this video that said we fixed it. Unfortunately, unbeknownst to us at the time we published that video, it was not the case. And so later on in the summer, prior to doing a couple of drives, I had to kind of thrash around and find a real solution for having the fuel pressure that we needed without a part on the car that I couldn't trust anymore. So the last thing that ended up happening was this thing developed, it got stuck open again after that last video, and then I took it apart, reassembled it again, and then it was leaking vacuum through the adjustment screw up here. To be fair to AEM, they were super helpful. I called them and asked them, hey, how should I fix this? And they're like, yeah, try some thread sealant, not Loctite, but thread sealant around there just to like button that up. And that fixed that problem, but then it reverted back to having other issues. And at that point, I was done with it. It has accomplished its goal that it let SOS tune the car and give us so we knew what fuel pressure we needed to run. However, we no longer needed the adjustment, which then led me to what ended up being the ultimate solution that I found for our problem. So here's what we actually came up with. If you look closely down here where the factory fuel pressure regulator would be, you will notice a little bit of the difference. What you're looking at here is a combination of an adapter flange from eBay, a few AN fittings from a local hot rod shop, and a regulator housing from Radium Engineering. In that housing sits a Bosch regulator that is the OE part for numerous Volkswagen Audi products, and which operates at 4 bar or 58 psi, right in the sweet spot for what we need. So yes, our solution for dealing with questionable adjustable fuel pressure regulator reliability was to remove the adjustable regulator from the equation. Sorry if you were expecting something more clever. I think after this experience, my thought process leans towards treating adjustable regulators more like tools as opposed to parts. Use them to tune and find the pressure at which you need to run, but don't treat them as permanent fixtures on the car because, having been down this rabbit hole on the internet, my experience here is not unique and also not limited to any single brand of adjustable regulator. Our AEM unit accomplished its mission at SOS, so it can now retire to a shelf, while a heavily engineered OE grade regulator does the heavy lifting for hopefully the foreseeable future. So that brings you up to date with where we are with resolving our fuel pressure issues on this car. And we're pretty sure we have them nailed at this point. The solution that we came up with, although we did arrive at it under a little bit of a time crunch, it has definitely proven itself since. We did a very long mountain drive that you have not seen on the channel. I'm not talking about NSX-Expedition, but it's on the way. We just had to wait for other current events to resolve before putting that out because reasons. But it has then also made the 2,000-mile round trip from Tennessee to Texas and back for NS Expo 2024, including 2 days at G2 Motorsports Park, at which it performed admirably. I was doing taxi laps for people by the end of the second day. Car seems very healthy. So, and I do have to give credit where due. I did start down the rabbit hole to finding a housing and a Bosch regulator after a comment by an Australian NSX owner, Blake, on that previous I Fixed It video. That led me down to kind of, chase that line of questioning to what ended up being its ultimate conclusion. So that's where we are. And I again, like I said, I am pleased with how this turns out because it accomplishes probably 3 of my favorite things. It works. It works with the factory systems in place. We have the fuel pressure or fuel pump resistor in the loop. There is no weird ramp that happens at 4,000 RPM anymore. Everything just runs. Also, it reduces the complexity in the system. We've kind of net reduction in entropy in the car at this point, which meaning, you know, with the adjustability of the pressure regulator out of the equation, that's one less thing that can fail. And then the last thing that it does is help me with parts continuity. If I'm not running a factory Honda fuel pressure regulator, I'm now running a factory BMW fuel pressure regulator. The only bespoke part in there, or the only part that I would have to like really hunt down is if something went wrong with the housing, but that seems unlikely. It's a very like dumb, simple part. It's a brilliant, but very simple part is what I mean by that. And then the regulator itself, again, unlikely to go bad. It's a Bosch part for an OEM, but if something did fail on it, if it did fail for some reason or another, I fancy my chances of being able to get it from like a BMW dealer or potentially even like an equivalent from a chain store, or fast shipping from an online retailer, a big box online retailer, versus having to wait on a small company to send me one, when they may be closed on the weekends or something that not everybody's going to have, and I might be somewhere in the country or in the world where that shipping might be protracted, but because they sell BMWs everywhere, it's going to help with that. So it works with the factory stuff. It reduces complexity, and no, that's 4 things, whatever. And it helps me with parts chain continuity. So I'm happy. The car seems happy. Well, you are now caught up on this misadventure, and it's hopefully the last time we'll have to talk about it. And we will move on then to other things in the next week or 2. So look forward to that. But in the meantime, thanks again for watching. I'm Richard. This is Lap of the World. We'll see you guys all in the next video, if not the track.